Hello and welcome to The Forum, the show where we get to know members from Monroe County Community College. I'm your host, Clark Guzman, reporter for the Agora. For this episode, we are joined by two actors from this year's student production, Sherwood. Care to introduce yourselves?
I'm Bryan, and I play Robin Hood.
I'm Gabby, and I play Maid Marian.
Awesome. So just a couple questions for you. How long have you been studying at MCCC, and what are you studying?
You go first.
This is my second year at Monroe County Community College, and I'm graduating in May with my associates in psychology.
Interesting.
And then this is my first year, and I'm studying biology and trying to get an associate's in the natural sciences, move up into biology, and then do dental work.
Ambitious.
Yeah, dental work.
All right. Would you mind telling us a little bit of what Sherwood is about?
So Sherwood is the classic retelling of Robin Hood, with Robin Hood and the Merry Men fighting the oppression of Prince John. And there's new characters that weren't really in the Disney version. I'd say like Sir Guy and Deerwind.
Definitely.
But the classics that everyone
Yeah.
loves, Robin Hood, Maid Marian, Little John, Friar Tuck.
I mean, it's the classic story about the hero's journey, but it's great. It's about a guy, a kid who doesn't really have anything to fight for, right? And so he just kind of spends his time trying to fill his life with, I guess you could say, like empty calories, right? Mm-hmm. Partying and doing all this stuff until he finally sees the injustice, and then he finally has something to fight for, which is to protect those in need and those that can't protect themselves.
Like a valiant, almost an anti-hero hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What has it been like getting into character?
I'd say it's definitely the accent. Everyone on stage tries to do a British accent for the show, and getting into that accent and saying our lines definitely is a big help getting into that role.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's like you almost forget, at least for me personally, I forget that I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm Bryan,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets so real. And once you have like the costumes on, it's like I'm there. It's like I actually am Robin, and I love every second of it.
Yeah. What is it like to be part of a production like this?
It's a lot of fun. I'd say the cast is what ties it all together. Everyone who's in it, I'd say, are really strong for their characters, and the ensemble, perfect. You can't have any show without an ensemble. And we're all really tight-knit and helpful to each other, bringing each other up, giving criticism where it's needed. But overall, it's a really fun production.
It's amazing. I couldn't ask for a better group. And if you love sword fighting, we have it.
That's beautiful. Is it difficult to balance rehearsing and other schoolwork?
I'd say it's a little difficult, but like as Bryan said, when you're there, you forget who you are and you're now that character. So it kind of takes away from the stress of like, oh, I have to study for this test afterwards, but in the moment you can be someone else in an entirely different environment.
Right.
Yeah, and see, building off what she said, it almost makes it easier in a way. Like, yes, it eats up time, whatnot, but it really is like a great and like almost like it's a great healthy and like distraction of everyday life, and you get to just be part of a group and engage with each other. And then after that, you feel good and energized, and you can go and do what else you have to do.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my next question. What inspired you to get into acting?
Oh, I started acting back in middle school.
Really?
Yeah, I've been acting for quite a bit of time, but it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I do musicals and plays. But when I did the show last year, Puffs, I knew that I was going to redo this show. And when I saw it was Robin Hood, it's like, I got to do the show.
So for me, it's kind of like a little of a long story, not too much of a long story. I was bickering with my junior year, 11th grade English teacher over Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me to sing a song because I had an Oasis shirt on. And I was like, I sang it for him, and in the most awful tone, just disgusting, because I was just like, really? And he's like, are you tone deaf? I'm like, does it sound tone deaf? And then I sang this traditional Mexican song, and then this girl that I knew, like her head popped up. She's like, whoa, I didn't know you could sing. And I was like, it's whatever. And then later she added me on Snapchat and was like, hey, would you be interested in joining our school's like chamber choir, which is like the little after school choir. It's like a small group that people that we do competitions with, basically.
Yep.
And so I went. I was like, sure, whatever, I guess. And so I tried it out. It was great, and then ended up joining the men's choir in school, and I loved it. And then they were like, you should definitely try for our school's musical. And I was like, okay, I guess, And so I did it, and I loved it. It was like the place I was looking for my whole life. I mean, I did band a lot, but my heart was never there, know. And then from there, I was asked to do another play, and just like, sure, I'll do that. And that's where I met her, and I'm here, and it's just, acting is just something I love.
Yeah. So both choir backgrounds, both love acting. That's awesome. So what is your favorite part of the entire experience?
Ooh, yelling at him.
Yelling at him? That makes sense, yeah.
Any lines where it's like, but this made Marion compared to like the Disney version that everyone loves.
Yeah.
And that version made Marion's very like, almost like a damsel. But in this version, Marion can stand up for herself. She knows how to fight. She's actually a better archer than Robin Hood.
I'd have to disagree,
Oh,
but
okay.
you'll have to watch the show to understand.
You know what? When is the show and what can audience members expect from it?
So it is April 4th, 5th, and 6th. The first two shows are from at 7:30, and on the 6th it is at 2 p.m. You can make reservations at Little Theater at monroeccc.edu. And you're going to expect a lot of, the show's very emotional, one of the most emotional shows that I've ever done. There's ups and downs, there's the high moments where Robin and the Merry Men are succeeding against depression, but then there's the really down moments when they fail. It's just a roller coaster from start to end.
There's a lot of comedy, a lot of confrontation, like she said, a lot of emotion. Combat, it's very fun, and there's a lot to it. The author is just did amazing.
Do you have any favorite memories from rehearsals, so before the whole show starts?
I definitely have one. Okay, it's hard to say favorite because I love every second of it, but there are some good comedic moments. Someone sat on a stool and completely flattened it out, and that was just out of nowhere. It was great.
They flattened the stool.
Yeah, sat down.
It just snapped and the metal's all bent.
That's
Little
unfortunate.
thick metal screws like snapped in half. It was great.
I would say any moment in the show where like it's very intense and serious scenes, but like either with Bryan or like any of the other actors. And when we were first learning it, it was really hard to keep character and not crack up laughing.
Yeah.
So any moments where like we broke that seriousness was still funny, but we knew we had to work on it.
So I heard that you had to do some special training for the show. Do you care to elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. So we have there's a guy named Noah. He plays Little John, and he's the one that is kind of doing all the stage combat. Right, he's teaching us all, and I love it. I never thought I'd get to do that, and it's fun because even though sometimes we make slip ups and whatnot, everyone that we do have sword play with, and we do sword fight with. It's great with improv. So if there's something we haven't learned yet, or there's something that we slipped up on, we still make it look smooth just by adding on to it.
Yeah, going into the show, I thought it would just be like swords clashing at each other and just hope it worked. But the amount of detail that Noah put into our choreography is intricate and it's really unique to the show, and I appreciate every second that he put into it. In addition to our archery scenes, we don't actually shoot bow and arrows on stage because that'd be a little dangerous, but our stage manager, Sonia, is an archer, and she's taught us like how to properly look like we're shooting a bow and arrow to make sure that we're not just like pretending. It looks a bit more legit than like as much legit as we can make it.
And the combat is true to our characters. There's a scene where I fight Little John actually, using a quarterstaff, and I fail and I get hurt on purpose, of course. Like that's how the story goes. Yeah. And just details like that I find really enjoyable because it shows, even though Robin Hood is the hero, it doesn't mean he has everything mastered.
Yeah, it still humanizes him while also idolizing.
So they're fake weapons, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
These are like specific swords that are designed for stage combat. So they're quite heavy, but they're designed to use for stage. And then the bow and arrows are fake as well.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You've been fantastic guests. I am very happy to have interviewed you. Thank you very much for showing up.
Thank you for having us.
We'll see you the next time.